Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you're all having a good day. Hopefully, you're all ready for today's Yankees game, which is taking place here shortly after this live stream here. So, game time is 1:40. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, game's taking place at 1:40. Yankees have been looking pretty good. How's everybody in the chat doing today? So, I have a special guest here. It's Ciarra. So I reached out to her a few days ago and asked her if she wanted to co-host with me on Sunday, and she was delighted. She was excited. I was excited to have her on here. Ciarra, welcome. How you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to just talk Yankees baseball. If anybody follows me on Twitter, they know that I am just obsessed with the New York Yankees. So I'm just very excited to be here.
Yeah. So, the way I met Ciarra was on one of the Twitter spaces. She was doing a show with Erica, and I was listening to her and Erica, and I was like, whoa, these two ladies know their Yankees. They know baseball. So I saw Ciarra do a show with Nathan the other day, and incredible job, by the way. You did amazing. You looked good. I was like, she knows what she's talking about. I was like, I got to get her on here. I'm going to message her. And she was excited to, again, come on and join me this morning. So thank you again for joining me. But tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into baseball? How did you end up liking the Yankees? Because you live in the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, so I live in Chicago, but I actually grew up in Albany, New York. So like the middle of the state. So it's split between Mets and Yankees out there, but I was born into a Yankee family, thankfully. And I also grew up during like the Derek Jeter era. So like, every little kid wanted to be Derek Jeter. Every little kid loved Derek Jeter. So very grateful for that. And because of that, I became obsessed with the game of baseball because of him.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Derek Jeter, a legend in the game, right?
Yeah.
Us Yankees fans, we loved and appreciated him a lot. So, he's definitely missed, but like every good player, I mean, there's a beginning and end, right? So they, when they're playing the game, you appreciate them while they're playing, take everything in. But unfortunately, with players, whether it's Derek Jeter or any other great player, there's always an end. So at some point they have to retire, and it's better that they retire on a high note rather than continue playing the game and remember them in a bad way where they where they're I don't want to say washed up, but where they start like slowing down, slumping.
Yeah.
I won't say Jeter was ever washed. He always put 100% in, but some players it's just they get a little washed up, and it's unfortunate. But Jeter was always an absolute gamer. So
yeah, absolutely. So I actually cried during Jeter's last game. I was just like, it was like a bittersweet moment because that his career is coming to an end. And it's very rare for someone to play on the same team for their entire career. Thankfully for the New York Yankees, we do have Aaron Judge, and it's, we're going to have him for his whole career. And hopefully for this next generation of baseball, we'll also have Anthony Volpe for his entire career, and they'll get to experience kind of their version of Derek Jeter.
Yeah, I'm loving Volpe. I like the way he's been playing so far. Hopefully he keeps that consistency up. And, some fans are suggesting maybe they sign him to an extension. I don't know. That's definitely a good question. Like, what do you think? Should the Yankees sign him to an extension?
Yeah, so it is a good question because Anthony Volpe, people were hard on him his rookie season because he didn't do so great offensively, but he won a Gold Glove, right? And defense is very important in the game of baseball. His sophomore season, he's off to a good start. The kids are the ones that are hitting right now as far as the Yankees are concerned. But I know that as far as our farm system goes, we have a ton of infielders coming up. Yeah. So I would love for Anthony Volpe to be our shortstop for the rest of his career, but he's going to have to put in a lot of work because there are some great arms coming up from the farm system.
Yeah, no doubt. No, great points. I mean, yeah, the Yankees have an influx of infielders in their farm system, and who knows who's going to play and who isn't going to play, who's going to get traded. I mean, the future's bright, right? And it's hopefully Volpe is a part of that future.
Yeah, I hope so.
So as far as the New York Yankees go, right? Let's take a look this season, right? So we're about what 9 games in to the season.
Yeah.
9 games into the season, 7-2 record. They're looking good. We could talk about the good and the bad. So real quick, let's start with the bad real first. Let's start with that.
Okay. So I'm usually the most positive Yankee fan, right? So it's hard for me to talk about the bad, but you have to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So the first 5 games, our bullpen looked great, but this series in Toronto, they do not look so good. I mean, poor Marcus Stroman, he pitched his heart out in that home opener. 6 innings and no earned runs, left a scoreless game, and the Yankees ended up losing 3-0. Last night, Clark Schmidt, he didn't look fantastic, but he did his job, right? So at one point it was a 6-0 game and ended up being getting to the point where it was a 9-2 game. So in my opinion, there's no reason it should end up being a 9-8 game. We shouldn't have to win in such dramatic fashion all the time. And then with that being said, so the bullpen, kind of a question mark at this point. Nestor Cortez is kind of a question mark, in my opinion, at this point. Outside of him, I think the starting rotation is pretty solid. Luis Hill pitches tonight, and I think he'll do a great job. And then other than that, I think my only concern is there are times when our defense looks stellar. And then there's times where they look flat-footed and lazy. So I think they just need to be consistent in that aspect.
No doubt. Yeah. So, the bad for me, it's, I was going to say the bats, just because the bats, sometimes when they're on. You saw that in last night's game. Like they were just hitting home runs, getting runners on base, creating those opportunities. And then there's other games where it's just like they forgot how to hit and they're swinging at everything, right? And I was very critical of Giancarlo Stanton. That was like the bad for me, right? I was just saying, like, move this guy down the lineup. If he doesn't improve there, take him out of the lineup. It's just since 2022, he's been playing bad. I believe he had like a batting average of like 180 before yesterday's game. So that's low. And for a guy who's getting paid so much money, I mean, to me that's unacceptable. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I agree. I agree, but on the flip side, I'm such a supporter of Stanton. Going into last night's game, he was 3 for his last 24, and then he ended up going 3 for 4 last night with 2 singles and a home run. I think we have to look at Stanton and his injury history. His legs are shot, right? Yeah. He can't really play the outfield, and that's not a knock on him. It's just reality. But I also think that there's been this huge pressure on him for these last few years because we got him when he came off that 50 home run season, which, people can't do every single season, right? But now with Juan Soto in the lineup, I think that takes pressure off of Stanton, and I think we'll see him start to produce here pretty soon.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Ciarra, I am a big supporter of Giancarlo Stanton. I want him to play well. I really want him to play well. But sometimes, or a lot of times, it just seems like when he's at the plate, he looks lost. He's just not seeing the pitches. I don't want to talk bad about him, but I mean, that's what I'm seeing. And yesterday, it was just a different Giancarlo Stanton. It was the Giancarlo Stanton that we all know, getting hits, hitting those home runs. It's great. I want to see more of that consistency with him. The other bad thing I'll say about this team is, as far as players go, you mentioned them, was Nestor Cortez. The only bad I could say about him is that he starts out the game giving up like 3 or 4 runs in the first inning or first couple of innings, but then he will then redeem himself in the following innings and he'll leave the game on a high note, which is great. But I just hope that, in these next few starts that he does not give up like 3 runs in the first inning. If he gives up like a run, I'm okay with it, but it's hard for a team to come back if you're down 3-4 runs, although the Yankees have shown that they are able to come back. So maybe this 2024 Yankees is a different team compared to where it was a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this about Nestor. He's a major league pitcher, so we don't have 3 to 4 innings for him to settle down because we never know what the bats are going to do. He's got to figure it out in his pregame. I don't know what that looks like for him. I really think that Nestor is one of those guys that the pitch clock has affected, because if you look back at 2022, that was the year that he was just lights out. Last year, obviously, he dealt with some injuries. But even before that, he didn't look the greatest. And now, obviously, he's struggling in that first 1 to 2 times around. But with that being said, you said the Yankees have proven that they could come back. And I agree. This team looks different than 2023. And they showed that in the Houston series the most, because they played small ball. Last year, it was home run or bust. This year, they're hitting singles. They're hitting with players in scoring position. They're not just trying to hit it out of the park every single time. They're bunting. Like, they are a totally different team.
Yeah, no, I'm liking this. I'm liking the 2024 Yankees right now. Sometimes the bats, there's moments, right, where they're not hitting. At one point, they were getting into a lot of double plays, which was absolutely frustrating to see. I'm like, can we stop with the double plays? It's like it's like almost a repeat of 2023, and everybody's having PTSD all of a sudden. And everybody, you see the tweets, right? You see it on social media. Everybody's just freaking out. Everybody's going nuts. It's like, all right, chill out. Let's relax. I'm that positive fan too. Like I try to remain optimistic. Don't get me wrong. I do my best to remain optimistic, but sometimes you got to be realistic about certain things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But real quick, let's take a quick pause. Let's shout out the chat. So pretty lively this morning, guys. Real quick, if you haven't yet, please smack that like button. If you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'm on the road to 600 subscribers. Share this out with anyone you know. I got Ciarra here as my guest, and if y'all have any questions for her, just drop the questions. All right, keep it civil. So let's see who we got here. We got Ken this morning. How you doing, Ken? Good morning to you. Dev Finch, what's going on, man? Hopefully you're doing well. Lou, good morning. What's going on? Nosebleed section. I love this name. Great name. Yeah, what's going on, Nosebleed section? D-Rod, what's up? CWE, what's going on? What's going on? Thank you all for coming in. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're all enjoying the conversation between myself and Ciarra. But so we focused a little bit on the bad. Why don't we focus on the good? Some of the positives.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So my positives right now are, I'm the biggest Marcus Stroman fan. I was a fan before he came to the Yankees. I think I was one of 5 fans that was happy about the signing. I know people are jumping on board now. He's pitched 2 games for us right now and has given up 0 runs. Like, that's incredible. I know Rodon is supposed to be our ace technically, but I think Stroman is really coming into that ace until Cole comes back. And he's also shown some great leadership. He's the first one out of the dugout to greet the other pitchers when they're coming off the mound. He's the biggest hype man. He's always wearing Yankees gear. I just absolutely love him. Game 1 of the Blue Jays series, he had 6 strikeouts through 6 innings. Fantastic. He tweeted out after the game he loved the atmosphere. He shouted out to the fans. Other positives, Juan Soto, he's changed the Yankees. The kids are looking up to him. You got Cabrera watching him in batting practice. Everyone speaks positive about him. And then also somebody who I don't think is getting enough recognition, Alex Verdugo. He is also changing the way that things are done in the clubhouse. I think some of the Yankees traditions were so outdated. So this 2024 atmosphere is just huge for the Yankees. So those are some big positives for me.
Yep. And Damien's saying what's up to you. So
hey, Damien.
Yeah. Great points. I love Stroman's energy. Right. I really love Marcus Stroman's energy. I mean, I like the fact that when he came out at Yankee Stadium, he was saying what's up to all the fans, interacting with all the fans. I mean, you can tell he really wants to be with the New York Yankees. I mean, he made that known in the offseason. My thing with Stroman was this. In the past, I was just like, wow, this guy is an egotistical maniac and full of attitude. But, whatever. I was just like, well, he's not playing for the Yankees. That was back then, right? But now when he's now during the offseason, right? So during the offseason when he said he wanted to play for the Yankees, I wasn't really sold on it. It's not to take anything away from him as a pitcher. I think he's a great pitcher. It was just more of his attitude. That's what I was worried about. However, when the Yankees signed him and he was excited and he was putting out all those tweets, I'm like, you know what? Sign me up. I'm gonna give this guy a chance. Like I'm excited to have him. and I was confident that he was going to do so well in that rotation. He was going to be a big factor in that rotation. So to me, that was an upgrade. And not to mention, he opted out of his contract with the Cubs for $21 million. So he took less money. All right. So let's also remember that too. So he really made it known that he wanted to play for the Yankees, and I can appreciate that. And he's got that bulldog mentality. There, like you see him in the dugout too. He's just full of energy, just hyping his team up. I'm liking this. I'm liking this chemistry with him and Verdugo, just being those guys in the dugout. It's fun. It's a lot of fun just watching these guys play again. But yeah, Stroman has shown that he can be an ace. And I know a lot of fans were not sold on him. You had some fans that were just like, Marcus Stroman is like, that's not a World Series move. But not every signing has to be a big name or a big star, right? So, you got to add the right players that are going to help you win the championships. And we saw that in 2023, where I don't know about you, but I thought the World Series was going to be between the Atlanta Braves and the Baltimore Orioles. So, but that was not the case. You had two wild card teams play each other, and one of them was they won 90 games and they made it to the World Series. So you just don't know how the games are going to play. But I just think that he was the right fit for the Yankees. I think Stroman, he's definitely the right fit for the Yankees. So he wants to be here. He wants to play, and he wants to help his team win. So, I'm liking it. Any other positives from you as far as
yeah. I think that this lineup is dangerous. Once those bats get going, they're like the new murderers row, right? If Soto, Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton all get going at the same time, who is getting out of that lineup, right? Pitchers aren't going to be able to pitch around people because the next guy up is just as good as the guy in front of him. But even the bottom of our lineup looks good. Nobody expected Oswaldo Cabrera to come out swinging the way he is. Anthony Volpe clearly did some work in the offseason. Those biceps are bigger. His swing is better. And then Austin Wells, when he's in the lineup, he's a catcher that can hit. So it's not like you get through the first 4 or 5 guys and then you're safe. That whole lineup is dangerous right now. So I'm just excited to see what they do once we get going. And you mentioned, 2 wild card teams making the World Series. What's crazy to me, and we spoke about the AL East this morning, is the Yankees and the Diamondbacks had the exact same record. So that just shows how tough our division typically is compared to the rest of baseball. So I think again this season it'll be a dogfight, and I think that the NL West is going to be a dogfight, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, the NL West is definitely going to be a dogfight. I mean, the only team that's going to be irrelevant, unfortunately, is going to be the Colorado Rockies. So they're not going to be their ownership needs to spend money, but that's a conversation for a different day. But I feel like the AL East, though, they're a very competitive division. It's absolutely competitive. It's always you just don't know how these games are going to end up. You really don't know, and it could be anybody's division. I know. When those Picada standings came out with those predictions, they had the Orioles finishing first place, and I'm like, I understand why they have a very young, dynamic team, and then they also added Corbin Burns, right? But the Yankees have also made many adjustments too. So I think a lot of folks were doubting the Yankees, except us fans, of course, and I think having Juan Soto in this lineup, it's changed a lot. I feel like this offense is more energetic, and they're playing a lot better. And I think Juan Soto, he's a big influence to this lineup, not just to the young guys. I feel like to some of the older guys too. I think they're all watching him at the plate, seeing how patient he is. He's able to draw walks. He makes the pitchers work. And that's another positive thing that I want to mention about the offense, right? They're making the opposing pitchers work. They're making these guys throw so many pitches that they get to their bullpen and they do work on their bullpen. So I don't know. The bats are a lot different this year than it was in 2023. In 2023, it was a constant, 1-2-1-2-3. They would go up, they would get 3 outs. All right, next inning, we'll try it again. It's like it was a rinse and repeat, right? It was so frustrating to watch last year, and then the constant double plays, which we're seeing some of that, but it looks like that's kind of slowed down a little bit in these last couple of games, which is good, thank God. But I feel though that the bats are have a lot more patience at the plate, and I think you have James Rosen, their hitting coach, to thank for that.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I didn't want him as our hitting coach. I was like, what are they doing? Why are they putting this guy in this position? But shows that I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't, work in the MLB. I will piggyback off of what you were saying as far as the patience at the plate. Gleyber Torres is he's showing growth this season. He's in a contract year. Yeah. The Yankees probably won't re-sign him if they're going to re-sign Juan Soto, which makes me sad because I'm a huge Torres fan. But him showing that discipline at the plate is going to get him a contract somewhere. He's someone that I want to see succeed wherever he goes. And also Alex Verdugo, he really works the count. I hated the guy last year because he was over in Boston. He's quickly becoming a favorite. That discipline at the plate is going to be huge this season for us because, like you said, those double plays last year, it was to the point where watching a Yankees game was physically painful. Like you just knew what was going to happen. It was just hard, right? So with that being said, I think there's a lot of positives right now. And also, like someone in the chat said, we've only lost 2 games. Right now we're in first place in the AL East, so I'll take it.
Yeah, and somebody was saying 2 losses sell the team. I know. It's like everybody freaks out. It's like, all right, can we just chill? It's 2 games. All right, chill out. They're playing. They're playing fine. Yeah, they're gonna have those 2 losses were pretty bad ones. I mean, no doubt. But they bounced back from it. So it's not like they hit a cold streak. It's baseball. They're gonna win. They're gonna lose. And I wasn't too familiar with James Rosen, but I think the Yankees went for him because Judge wanted him. So Judge was a huge influence as far as who he wanted on this team and how the Yankees needed to approach the offseason and the direction that it needs to take. So you could thank Aaron Judge for that one. And he's familiar with James Rosen. That's the other thing. He's familiar with James Rosen. I don't know if you knew that, but
I mean, that kind of just goes to show how big of an influence Judge is just in that clubhouse, and that they made the right decision by making him the captain and giving him that contract.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he needed to have a voice. I think it's rightfully deserved. That's an interesting name, Booger Brain. Well, good morning to you, man. What's going on? I like some of these names. You'll start seeing some more. As you do these types.
I like it.
Yeah. So, no, when James Rosen first spoke and he said that, talked about his hitting philosophy, I liked what I heard. And I like the fact that he didn't have just a one-minded approach, right? It wasn't just hit the ball hard and just try to hit it out of the park. I'd like that approach from him. I'm like, yeah, because some of these guys are not necessarily built to just, only hit home runs. Like, let's get hits, create opportunities, right? Which is something that they're doing right now. And his approach was just, I'm going to work with every hitter, work on their strengths, work on their weaknesses. So, because he knows that everybody in that lineup is unique. So they all have a unique, what's the word I'm looking for here? Just a unique style to them. We'll just say style, unique, batting style to them. So how they play. So that was the big thing with James Rosen. That's what caught my attention. I'm like, you know what? I'm actually very confident in this guy.
Definitely. Yeah, I like that he lets them make their own approach. But one thing I would like to point out that it's been talked about a little bit in Twitter Spaces this week is they're not going back into the dugout and watching their iPad to see why they're striking out.
Yes.
And I think Juan Soto, again, huge influence because he does not watch the iPad. Last season, we would see Gleyber Torres kind of sit on the bench, not really pout, but, he's watching that iPad, and that didn't really help them. So I do like that they're not doing that this season. I think they were getting in their own heads too much, right? So a combination of this new hitting coach, these new people on the team, just like everything has changed. And I really do think we're in for a great season, honestly.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And yeah, the whole iPad thing. Oh God, it's like, come on, guys, you got to put eyes on the game. Let's get
Yeah.
back to putting eyes on the game. Let's live in reality. There's a time and place for analytics. I mean, analytics is not going to go anywhere. Every team uses analytics. It's just a matter of how it's being used. And it was clear that last year the Yankees were terrible at using analytics. And that was something that Aaron Judge mentioned in the last game of the season. And it was when he was being interviewed, he was saying that there needs to be a different approach, and we need to figure out what's useful and what isn't. And it looks like in these first 9 games, they're figuring it out. So they're using what works and what doesn't. So I like this. I like this approach. They are using the iPad, but at the same time, it's like they're also putting eyes on the game, and the approach to the plate is a lot different, right? So, and you see that you're seeing that with Volpe, you're seeing that with Oswaldo Cabrera, right? The bottom half of the lineup, those guys have been killing it. It's a night and day difference. But I want to ask you this about Soto. It's clear he loves being on the Yankees. He has embraced it. He's embraced it since he was traded. He was excited. Now that he's officially playing, wearing those pinstripes, I don't know about you, but I feel like he wants to stay with the Yankees. He does want to sign with the Yankees. I know, you always hear the Mets fans saying, the Mets will get him, but yeah, right. But what do you think? What do you think what do you think it takes to keep Juan Soto?
Yeah, so he does look like he wants to be Yankee. He looks very comfortable in the pinstripes. He and Gleyber Torres, you see the videos and the pictures, they're clearly best friends. He in the outfield of Judge and Verdugo, great chemistry. My only concern is that he kind of gave the same answer when he was in Washington and San Diego about they know who my agent is, they can call Scott. That concerns me. Because while Juan Soto is a generational talent, and I would love to keep him in pinstripes for the rest of his life, we also have to think about winning every year. We can't sell for one guy, if you know what I mean. I think he's looking probably at the biggest contract to ever be signed when he goes into free agency at the end of this season. And that's just very concerning to me. Not that I don't want the fans to think that I don't want to keep him, because I do. I want him to be re-signed. I just think that there's some other things that need to be weighed in the process.
I see. So you're saying, if I'm understanding this, you're saying if the Yankees do sign Juan Soto, you're just afraid that they're not going to be able to win a lot of championships because they have so much money tied into one player, that they can't get other players, or?
Yeah, because not because of Juan Soto, we've made bad decisions in the past. I mean, I'm a Stanton fan, but look at Stanton's contract. It's not a good contract. Look at Rodon. Like, yes, he's having his first 2 games have been decent, but his contract was way too big. He didn't earn that contract, in my opinion. There are just things that we've done in the past that are hurting our ability to sign players in the future. So if we get Juan Soto, we're really going to have to rely on our farm system. And we have a great farm system right now, but as a Yankees fan, we know how that usually plays out for us.
Yeah. No, you know what? And I do agree that is always my worry, right? When you tie up so much money to one player that you can't add other players in a trade or during free agency, at least, to improve the team, because you have so much money tied to one player. But I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like with Juan Soto, I don't think there's a mistake to signing him to a long-term contract. I think he's one of those guys that is a generational talent. And, whatever his approach was to the game when he was with Washington, when he was with San Diego, and now with the Yankees, it's been the same. He just wants to play the game and win. And his approach to the plate has not changed either. Now, as far as him saying, talk to my agent, I mean, he's making it clear that he's only there for one thing. He's there to play the game. But
I don't think that's the wrong answer. I think that's a great answer. I just know he said the same thing on those last 2 teams. And don't get me wrong, I am a Juan Soto fan. I am with everyone else. I want him in pinstripes. And I saw Damien's comment. I agree. It is a different feeling for him being in the stands and seeing all the flags from the Dominican Republic. And I think he brings a great representation to the Bronx, for, all of the kids. It's been talked about on a few other streams that I've watched too, where just the Bronx itself is changing because of Juan Soto. And now, all these kids they want the Juan Soto gear. They're doing the Soto shuffle. And I think he would look great in pinstripes for the rest of his career. I am just saying there are some other things that the Yankees need to consider when they make this deal.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I agree. Because you do need to have a team. One player is not going to win it all, but I think he's going to be huge, right? If the Yankees are able to sign him to a long-term contract, I'm confident that they will. The Yankees aren't going to just let him walk. There's just no way. Some fans, I've had some fans in the live streams tell me, oh, Cashman and Hal, they're not going to open up the checkbook. And I'm like, I beg to differ, because they've been trying to go after him since the 2022 trade deadline. So they're going to do everything they can to keep him, so.
Yeah. And there's a lot of money coming off the books too. So that'll go towards, Soto and his contract.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. So somebody put in the chat, there's $100 million coming off the books. So it's they'll be able to sign him. The Yankees are going to make so much money off of him too, just with the merchandise. And yeah, his name alone is just gonna skyrocket for them. But so let's pivot over to the Yankees record, right? So we talked about their record. They're 7-2. Do you feel like it's legit? Do you think it's a fluke? Folks in the chat, let me know what you all think.
Yeah, I think it's legit. I think if the bullpen can settle down a little bit and we can figure out who should be the long reliever, who should be the setup man, who should be the closer in what situation, figuring out the lefty on lefty, righty on righty type of situations. Once that bullpen settles back in, we're going to be fine. 7-2. We're first in the AL East right now. Boston's 6-3. I believe Baltimore's 5-3, and now the Blue Jays are 4-5. So I think we're on the road to the World Series.
I like that confidence. All right. I love it. No, I love it. I don't know. Like, I don't want to sound negative. I don't know about World Series yet. Because it's early in the season, I'm just like, all right, but I love the confidence. I love the optimism. I think they'll definitely be a playoff team. I think they will make it into the playoffs. I'm confident that they'll finish at the top of the division. Again, this is a much different team, and I think their record is legit. Because of let's pivot back, right? Let's look at the Houston series. I don't know about you, but I thought it was going to be a series split with Houston. I thought they were just going to win 2 games. It was going to, be a 2-2, which I would have been very happy with, especially having the Yankees being away. I thought they were going to split that series, but they ended up sweeping them. And Houston Astros, I mean, you already know they've had our number for a long time, and it was just absolutely frustrating. They became our new rivals. It wasn't even the Red Sox anymore. It became the Houston Astros. So, they swept Houston, and then they beat Arizona 2 out of 3, right? So, I think this team is the real deal. They fall behind and they make a comeback. So they rally back. So I don't know that this 7-2 record. I think it's pretty legit. I think this team is the real deal. Whereas last year, if this team was losing, there was no way that they were coming back. It almost felt like it was a guaranteed loss. Even when they're down 1-0, they're like scoring 1 run was an absolute struggle for these guys. What do you think?
Yeah, so that Houston series was huge for us to start the season, right? We had a very tough road 7 games to start the season. 4 against Houston, 3 against Arizona. We already talked about how Arizona was, in the World Series last year when no one thought they would be there. And Houston has just kind of owned us for the last few seasons, especially in the playoffs. I will say we did sweep them September of last year. in Minute Maid Park. Jason Dominguez was obviously a huge part of that, so can't wait for him to come back up. But I also went into this series saying we were going to sweep them because I'm delusional, and I say that going into every series that we're just going to sweep them. But it was a different team, right? They played small ball, they bunted, they weren't going for the home run. Our pitchers, who I was worried about, Cortez and Rodon, they did their job. So Stroman, like I said, 6 innings, no runs. I just looking at this team and how different they are and just how different the chemistry is, and just they're not sad little puppy dogs lost in the outfield right now. Mm-hmm. We're going to the World Series. I don't care what anyone says. Like it's our year.
I love. You know what, Ciarra, I love the optimism. Keep that optimism going. I'll like I said, I wait till later in the season to make comments like that, just because again it's early in the season. But I do love the optimism. So I want to highlight a couple of questions in the chat. So Lou is asking, who are we replacing Rizzo with at first? Do you have
Ben Rice?
Ben Rice, okay.
If they don't re-sign Rizzo, if we're being realistic here, someone in the chat said Judge is a recruiter. Judge and Rizzo are best friends. So if we're going off of that and just the production that Rizzo has given us, they're going to re-sign Rizzo.
Yeah. So Rizzo does have a 2025 option.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I'm trying to remember if it was a club option or if it was a player option, but, either way, I could see if it's a club option. We'll see if the Yankees exercise it. But some people, you said Ben Rice. A few folks in the chat said Ben Rice. I personally see, and I might be off on this, but I could see them bringing up Spencer Jones, because
I think I don't disagree with you. So,
okay.
But I think that they would put Spencer Jones in the outfield just because that's where he looks most comfortable. I think if it's not Ben Rice, it would be TJ Rumfield at first base. Okay. If they were to bring anybody up to replace Rizzo.
Yeah. And Damien's saying the same thing, Spencer Jones, because I'm envisioning a lineup with Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. Mm-hmm. I'm envisioning that lineup, and that's going to be a killer lineup. I can't wait. But you mentioned Ben Rice. I like Ben Rice. I do. And this was something I said to myself, and then I talked with a couple of guys that keep up with Yankees prospects. There's Dane Huber, and then Rob from Pinstripe Chronicles podcast. Check those guys out. They know a lot about prospects, especially Dane. Dane has a very good eye for it. Dane was saying that he could see Ben Rice as a trade piece, which is something I see as well, because they have so many catchers right now that and which is a great problem to have, that Ben Rice, they can use him as a trade piece and get something of value back.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Dane. I'm very fortunate that I get to speak with him pretty often on Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, he's active.
He's the reason that I've been able to learn more about the farm system, and I've gotten really into it this current season. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, in the past, the Yankees haven't done a good job at bringing their prospects up and growing their prospects. Now that we have this really great farm system, I think we'll probably see that change a little bit. I know we have some younger kids down in the Dominican Republic right now as well that we're waiting on. So I do think that the next few years we're going to see a lot of young guys come up and grow with the team, or they'll be used as trade pieces for teams like the White Sox or the Royals, who are just completely trying to regrow their team.
Yeah, the Yankees haven't had this deep of a farm system in a lot of years. But real quick, I wanted to shout out my guy Uncle Tats from the Pinstripe Chronicles podcast. What is going on, Uncle Tats? Welcome to the chat, man. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you guys that don't know, real quick, Uncle Tats and his team over there at Pinstripe Chronicles podcast, and I got to jump in a couple times with them. They did a 12-hour show for a cause for it was a long one. It was for Parkinson's disease.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. They did an incredible job. They had all sorts of different content creators. They had Hector from the Morning Brew along with TC Steels. They had Pete Seminetti from NYYU. I was on there for a little bit. Mikey Mazza from Fort Train Express. Jason from 161 River Avenue. And there's other channels that I didn't even mention, but it was awesome. It was awesome. I didn't tune in for all 12 hours, but I tuned in when I can. But shout out to Uncle Tats and his team over there. They did an amazing job, and for a great cause. So we'll see if you ever get a chance to you can check out one of those live streams. It was a good time. It was a good time. But I wanted to bring up this question right here. D-Rod is asking, it doesn't make any sense to give Volpe an extension now when you have at least 5 more years to control. Is your boss giving you a raise without you asking?
I mean, I would wish he would give me a raise without me asking. I'll take more money any day of the week.
Yeah, no doubt. When that question was first asked about Volpe, I was like, I wouldn't quite yet, right? Mm-hmm. I understand where fans are coming from, is to lock up your young talent while you can before they become too expensive. Kind of like what they were trying to do with Judge, but Judge waited till free agency, so you want to offer that before it's too late. But Volpe, again, going back to last year, it was a rough year for him, and I can't solely blame him because he was trying to do too much, and I think there was a lot of pressure on him, especially with Judge being out. He was trying to carry all that weight on his shoulders. But I would say if he has a good year, maybe you do entertain that. Maybe you do sign him to an extension, and he may accept that offer, right? So. Yeah, we'll see. And I wanted to touch up on what you were saying about the farm system real quick. So again, the Yankees farm system has not been this deep in a really long time. They've had guys in the past. I just don't think they utilized them the way they were supposed to. Because the biggest problem with the Yankees was this: they would bring up guys, let them play, and then send them back down, or they would bench them. There was a lot of inconsistency. Some of these guys just didn't exactly pan out, which was, it was frustrating, right? Because we saw that with a guy like, for example, with Davy Garcia. They didn't know what they wanted to do with him, and they were unsure. And they kind of did the same thing with Peraza, unfortunately, right? Oswald Peraza, they did the same thing with him. But this time around, the Yankees have done an incredible job drafting players and getting the right guys into their minor league system. I think they're doing a good job of developing these guys. They're doing a lot better. So hopefully those results show in the future too, because this crop of talent that they have right now in their farm system is amazing. And talking with Dane, it gets me excited, because I watch some of these guys, like some highlights, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And and with these players from the Dominican Republic, you're seeing them play as young as like 12 or 13, and they're hitting like they're pros, and I'm like, what are they feeding these kids? It's amazing what they're doing, and I hope to continue seeing that. So. But yeah, what is your take on that? How do you feel about the farm system right now?
Yeah, I think like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to Volpe, I personally want to see him as a Yankee for life. However, like I did say, the farm system is deep, so he's going to have to work hard to keep that job. Specifically, Roger Arias is right behind him for the shortstop job, and that kid, he has a much better arm than Volpe. Just in general, the farm system is so deep. It's so deep. And we have all this international money that we can use. So I just think the Yankees have so much potential in these next few seasons that we haven't seen in a long time. Because like you said, they usually don't develop them correctly. Or like, for example, Oswald Peraza, he's proven to be injury prone, unfortunately. I know the fans really wanted to see him do good with us, but I think that window has kind of closed for him. We probably should have traded him when we had the leverage, and unfortunately now that time has passed. But also, Yankees fans, I love you guys dearly, best fan base in the world. However, we cannot do this merry-go-round that we do every season where we complain about Cashman hugging the prospects, but then when they come up and they don't hit like Juan Soto right off the bat, we jump all over them. We do have to give them time to adjust to the big leagues because it's not the same. So that's kind of my take on it.
There you go. You heard it from Ciarra, so y'all better listen to her about playing the young guys, and then if they don't perform well, that we just immediately write them off. So make up your minds, is what she's saying, right?
Exactly.
Tell them, Ciarra. Tell them exactly. And Uncle Tat says, "You hear? I always trust a woman with a coffee cup collection."
That's not even all of them. So,
how many coffee cups do you own? We got it.
Oh, I don't even know. So I have the ones behind me, and then there's like you can see this cart to the side that's completely full, and then I have a cabinet full. Every time I go to Disney World or anywhere, I just buy myself a coffee mug because I'm a coffee addict.
Oh, I love my coffee too, and so does Uncle Tats. He will tell you that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, are you building a collection?
I mean, I guess it just kind of happened over time.
I was gonna say parties on the weekend, coffee parties on the weekend, invite a bunch of friends over.
Yeah, exactly. Funny.
I love it. Yeah, no doubt. Because I was noticing that in the background. I was like, she's got a lot of coffee cups.
Yeah.
She's got some water bottles too. I'm like, okay. I was like,
yeah.
And Uncle Tats is saying Kelly and I have around 40 cups in the house.
Love it.
Yeah, so there you go. Maybe you guys could have a show talking about coffee cups there. Start comparing all your coffee cups. All right.
Right.
Yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun. But awesome. Yeah, so talked about the farm system. You know, we're covering a lot, so we're doing really, really good, guys. Real quick, quick pause. If you haven't yet, smack that like button because you got Ciarra in the chat. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to this channel. Share this out with anybody you know. I'm having a good time. Hopefully, you're all having a great time too. Great having you on here, Ciarra. It's been, you like I said, you know your stuff. You know your baseball. You know your Yankees. So continue doing your show. There you go. All right, we'll do a coffee cup collection show. All right, set it up. Reach out to each other. Let's go. Because I'm definitely going to tune into that because that's
so funny.
A lot of fun. Yes. So we talked a little bit about the bullpen, backstage, right?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of touched up on it on the show. What are your feelings on the bullpen? You heard about Jonathan Loaisiga. He's out for the rest of the season, right? He's going to get Tommy John surgery. So this was his last year as a Yankee. He's going to be a free agent. I doubt the Yankees sign him back. I think his career with the Yankees is over. You all let me know what you think in the chat, whether or not you agree or disagree. But let me get your thoughts on that and the thoughts on the bullpen.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most frustrating things going into this season, honestly. So last year, our bullpen was the best in baseball for most of the season because they had to be the bats weren't there, right? Coming into this season, Efros had surgery. Trevino was out. And then Tommy Kahnle, I don't know what's going on with him. He seems to always start the season later than everyone else or starting with an injury. And now we have Loaisiga. So those are some pretty big names that aren't available for us right now.
Yeah.
Houston, the bullpen looked great. Most of Arizona, they looked good. This series with Toronto, they're not looking so good, and it's extremely frustrating. Mm-hmm. And I know we're only 9 games in, so we have time to figure it out. So I'm not going to jump off a bridge or anything. But the game was 9-2 last night, right? Going into the 6th. It should not have been a 9-8 game. Luke Weaver somehow became the first pitcher in baseball this season to have his 3rd win after giving up I wrote it down because I knew I wasn't going to remember. He gave up 3 runs over 2 innings, right?
Yeah.
And that just infuriated me because the bats were actually alive, and for that to happen. The game before, like I said, Marcus Stroman, 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, no runs. He did exactly what you want your starting pitcher to do. 2nd pitch from the bullpen, home run, 1-0 game. And then it ended up being a 3-0 game because, also the bats weren't alive, so you can't win without offense. But anyways, I'm rambling. So
you're good. Ramble away.
The bullpen started off great. Now they're starting to unravel, and I think we need to figure out, like I said, who's going to be the long reliever, who's going to be the setup man. I think the one thing that I am certain on is Clay Holmes is our closer. Ian Hamilton learned yesterday that it is not easy to be a closer.
Thank
And I
you.
think, and I think fans, I know that they call him Cardiac Clay. I know that he lets up some traffic on the the bases, but he's not Mariano Rivera. He's never going to be Mariano Rivera, but he's a guy that we need to let pitch because he's also someone, in my opinion, if he doesn't pitch consistently, that's when we're going to see Clay Holmes unravel. So with that being said, Clay Holmes is the one guy that I'm 100% certain is perfectly fine. The rest of the bullpen is kind of questionable to me at this point.
Okay, and that's a solid take, and that's a fair take. And real quick, Donnie, love you, bro, love you, but no, I'm not trading for Class A, and Holmes is not getting traded. Clay Holmes is he's my closer. All right, yeah, I said it. There you go. You heard it from me. Yeah, with Hamilton trying to close out the game. Exactly, Gregory Rain. Yep, you know it. What's up, man? But yeah, with Hamilton, he was put in the ninth inning. All right, we expected him to close out the game, and he didn't. Right, a lot of fans were asking him to be the closer because they're so nervous about Clay Holmes, saying that Clay Holmes is not a closer. But the thing is, Hamilton showed that he could not. He couldn't close it out, and it's not easy, like you said. So now what? You know, who's your other option? If it's not Clay Holmes, if it's not Hamilton, right? So just because Clay Holmes gets into these situations, it's like, all right, let's chill out. And you know, Clay Holmes comes in, and Clay Holmes has been good so far. I mean, yeah, he got himself into a few jams. That game against Arizona, the final game. I mean, some fans were trying to blame him, but that was not his fault.
That was the infield.
That was on Volpe, right? And I love Volpe, but that was on Volpe. I'm sorry, but that was not Clay Holmes' fault. And people have to remember that he came to the Yankees with a very high ERA. His ERA was like in the fives, and Matt Blake has done an amazing job with him. So, you know, that's my take on Holmes and Hamilton. I think Hamilton should be like an eighth inning guy. You know, he's another one of those guys that could pitch 2 innings along with Luke Weaver. So use those guys to pitch multiple innings, but I think you bring in a guy like Hamilton in for the 7th and 8th inning, right? Let him pitch those 2 innings, right? Let him be the setup man. But as of right now, Clay Holmes is not. I mean, he's my closer, you know. And as far as the rest of the bullpen arms, I like what I'm seeing. I mean, yeah, there was a couple of games where they were off, but other than that, they've been pretty solid so far. You know, they've been able to close out these games. So hopefully it continues trending in that direction. And you know, Uncle Tats, I was saying no on Class A just because I think he will cost a lot. I think the Yankees are going to have to give up so much, and this is what Joan was saying, right? Joan was saying,
Yankee tax.
Yeah. That's my only thing with Class A. I have nothing against Class A. Listen, if the Yankees got him, hey, I'm not going to complain. But I feel like it's going to cost a lot to get him. But maybe if the Guardians are out of the playoffs, if they're not going to make the playoffs, if they have no chance, and at the deadline, if they're selling, maybe they go after him. Who knows?
I mean, the Guardians could walk to the playoffs in that division at this point. Like, it's probably the worst division in baseball, for being honest.
Yeah, the AL Central is pretty lame for the most part.
Yeah. So So I think the Guardians will be in the mix. I think it'll be the Guardians and Twins in the mix, honestly. But also, I think the Yankee tax is more real than we tend to believe. Every single team right now is going to want our entire farm system for their big names. So I just don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, and I have a saying whenever these teams ask they're always trying to fleece the Yankees. You know, especially when teams are asking for like Spencer Jones, like Dylan Cease for Spencer Jones, and usually my response is always go kick rocks. You know, these guys in the chat all hear me say that. I even got a shirt that says that too. On the back it says "Go Kick Rocks" with the channel name in the front. I'll wear it one day. You'll see it. But when it comes to the Yankees, the Yankees tax is real, 100%. And real quick, I'm not doing that trade. I'm not trading Arias, Rice, Pereira, and Beater. No,
No, because Arias is probably going to be who takes Volpe's spot in the future. And Rice, he's too good. I know everyone only talks about Spencer Jones right now, but we have so many good like kids in the farm system right now that we need to develop and we need to bring them up. Because let's be honest, a lot of our team right now, we have a lot of old guys on our team. And I don't mean that like in a disrespectful way, but DJ LeMahieu's on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo's on the wrong side of 30. Aaron Judge is going to be 31 or 32 this year. So we got to start thinking long term.
Definitely. And that's why I think that's why right now with this team that the Yankees have, and Judge is going to be 32 actually later this month. So, with you got to start thinking young now, right? You got to start thinking about the youth movement. So, we got a taste of that in 2023, and I liked what I saw. And the Yankees are going to trend in that direction. So you want to have a group of young players, but you still need that veteran presence, though, right? I mean, you don't want guys at like 40 years old, but there still needs to be that veteran presence on the team, so these guys can be like a mentor or a role model, for these young guys that are coming up. So there needs to be like a blend, a mix. Would you agree with that?
100%. I 100% agree. I'm just looking at the Yankees in the past and how we always end up going after these guys who are on the wrong side of 30 that are injury prone. But I do agree there needs to be a mix. And that's why I think it's great that Aaron Judge is our captain. And I think Garrett Cole is just a huge leader in that clubhouse.
Oh, he's definitely a leader. I mean, you see Cole, right? He doesn't necessarily have to travel with the team, but he wants to travel with the team because he wants to be there for his guys. And I think him being there, I think it's been a positive effect for the starting pitchers. So him being there, I think these guys are playing well. Yeah, I mean, you got the Matt Blake effect for sure, but I think Cole being there, it plays a huge role for these guys.
Yeah. I'm reading Donnie's comment, and I don't think I said that I would move Volpe to second. I don't think I ever said that.
I didn't hear you say that.
So, but I know that Jordan Vivas is in the farm system right now. Obviously, he got hurt at the end of spring training. So we have options for second base once we move on from Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, and I think he's saying this because there have been a lot of fans that were saying that they bring Arias up, play him at shortstop, and move Volpe to second.
Okay.
I think that's what he was getting at. I don't think he was.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute. I think I might have confused myself.
No, you're good. You're good. But that's what he was. That's what he was saying, that he would have moved Volpe to second. I mean, Arias, I know, is supposed to be, great defensively at shortstop. So, and his bat is supposed to be really good. But it'll be interesting to see how he gets utilized, and what if they did move Volpe to second base? I mean, is that I'm not gonna think about that now, right? But that's years down the line. I mean, I'll let Volpe continue playing shortstop, let him continue doing his thing. But the Yankees have a lot of infielders, and D-Rod is saying 3/4 of these guys will be traded. Now, not all of them are going to make it. Right. Some of these guys are going to make it. Some of these guys won't. They'll either be used in a trade piece or they'll get DFA'd. And that's one thing with the Yankees, right, with this farm system, is that they hold on to players for way too long. It's like they need to stop doing that. If you're not going to play them, trade them. Use them in a trade. Do something. Like, don't waste their years. I've said this many times about their farm system. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I hate that we hug our prospects, and not even just because we're not utilizing them, but for the fact that like you're wasting their career. Like, they could go somewhere else and have a big career, but we're just letting them waste away in the minor leagues. And I just don't think it's fair to them. And I don't think it's fair to the fans, because we want to see these guys come up.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I'm excited for what the Yankees have in their farm system. I'm hoping there's certain names that I do want to see. Arias is one of them, and I hope he does come up whenever that may be. So I'm excited for some of these guys that are being talked about. But we're doing really good. So good job. I wanted to ask you about the bats That was something. Again, we talked about it backstage. We kind of touched up on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the bats, the lineup? I mean,
yeah, I am excited for this lineup. We've lost 2 games, and those were the 2 games where the bats weren't alive. One game in Arizona, and then the first game against Toronto, the home opener. So that kind of sucked because so many people went to that game, and the atmosphere was crazy. My friend Erica from Twitter, she FaceTimed me from the game so I could see Marcus Stroman pitching. So I just know the atmosphere was, the atmosphere was crazy. So outside of those 2 games, though, the bats are looking good. I mean, like I said, Yankees hit 3 home runs last night. Stanton went 3 for 4. He basically said, everybody can shut up because I'm here to stay. They're playing small ball when they need to, and they're getting it done. So I can't complain about the bats at this point.
Yeah, the bats are good. My only frustration with the bats, and it's kind of slowed down in the last couple of games, like we talked about, is just that they were constantly getting into these freaking double plays, and it's like, oh my god. I was like, can we stop with these double plays? I'd rather a batter ground out or pop out, than get into double plays. Just because it's just such it's just such wasted opportunities, It's 2 quick outs, and especially if you have like 1 out and it's a double play, it's like, all right, inning's over, but on to the next one, and but the bats, I will say this, they're looking a lot better at the plate. There needs to be some improvement from some of them, right? I know Giancarlo Stanton was that guy that I felt like needed to improve, but he had a great game yesterday, and I hope he keeps this consistency. I don't know that he will. I'm very I don't know. He's tricky, right? He's very tricky. Torres has shown some good signs. I like what I'm seeing from him. The one guy that I really want to see, and he's been effective, has come through clutch a couple of times, and he's been great on the field. Verdugo, I want to see his bat get hot. Volpe's looked really good. Oswaldo Cabrera, I mean, he's looked great. I was kind of losing my hope for him, but man, he's come out and answered very well. Judge's he's going to come around. We all know Judge. He's a bit of a slow starter. He'll come around. I want to see a little bit more from Anthony Rizzo, although he looked, he hit that solo shot yesterday. But what about the bats? Like, any improvements you want to see? Any players that you want to see hit better?
Yeah. So the catchers, both of the catchers. So Austin Wells is a catcher that can hit, and I just want to see it happen. I really wanted him to come up last season, and I know a lot of fans were excited to see him come up. So I just want to see him get it going. And then Jose Trevino, I just want to see him play small ball and just move the runners over. I'm not expecting like home runs from Trevino. In my opinion, he's just a great defensive catcher, and that's why we love him. But I would like to see him get some RBIs going. Other than that, I'm pretty satisfied. Gleyber Torres, he's very disciplined at the plate so far this season, and that's just not the Gleyber Torres that we're used to. I know last year he was like our most consistent bat in the lineup. Volpe had his first 4-for-4 night recently, and his sophomore season, he's off to a hot streak. Cabrera, you and everybody else were ready to throw him in the fire. Like, everyone gave up on him, and he not only did he come out swinging like Barry Bonds, but defensively he's looked pretty good too. And I know people were on him last season about that. And then Judge, I'm not worried about Judge at all. So even in 2022, when he was setting that record, he didn't hit his first home run until the 6th game. This year was the 7th game. No big deal. But I also, we also want to see him get those singles, get those doubles. Rizzo, he's shown that he's recovered from that concussion, and that's all I can ask for at this point. Verdugo, very disciplined at the plate, just like Torres. Love to see it. Soto, I'm not worried about Soto whatsoever. He's going to be fine. He's first 4 games, he looked fantastic. Can't expect him to be on fire every single night. It's just not realistic. And then I guess Stanton is the one guy where I guess I could say could use some improvement, but I was satisfied with his 3-for-4 last night. I don't think he's our everyday DH, but when he does DH, I think that he's going to show everyone that he's going to have a turnaround season.
Yeah, I still hope he has a comeback season. I really want him. I really want him to play well. I really do. It just pains me to see him like striking out a lot, and not getting those hits, not getting those home runs. And you mentioned Trevino. That's another guy, right? It just seems like every time he comes up to the plate, it's like it feels like an automatic out. I hate to say that, but he hasn't been hitting. He's great as a catcher. I mean, granted, he had a bad game on Friday there against the Blue Jays, but behind the plate when they gave up those 2 runs, not entirely his fault, but it goes both ways. But I really wanted Trevino. I really want him to play well too. But I think Austin Wells, though, I think he's the guy. I think he's the guy for catcher. So, so the Yankees are playing soon, right? They're playing here in the next about 40, little less than 40 minutes. Yep. They got the lineup. I'm gonna pull up the lineup, and I'm gonna have you read it off. So let me pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Exciting, right? Yeah. What do you think? Do you think they'll win?
Oh yeah. I think we're taking the series today. I'm not worried about it. I like the lineup that they put out. I looked at it earlier. So, all right.
Go for it.
Leading off, second baseman Gleyber Torres, and then we have in right field batting second Juan Soto, batting third and playing center field our captain Aaron Judge, batting fourth playing first base Anthony Rizzo, our designated hitter Giancarlo Stanton, batting fifth, batting sixth we have Alex Verdugo out in left field, batting seventh we have Anthony Volpe at shortstop. Batting eighth, we have our catcher, Austin Wells. And batting ninth, we have Oswaldo Cabrera playing third base. And then on the mound, we have Luis Hill. Very excited to see him pitch today. Also, can the chat let me know, because I've heard different people pronounce this differently, and I'm trying to get the correct answer. Is it Luis Hill or is it Luis Heel? I would just like to know.
Oh, Hill or... Say that again.
Is it so? I've been on different conversations since the start of the season where I've heard people call him Luis Hill, like Hill. The Hill, or Luis Heel, and I want to know the right way to say it, because I don't want to be disrespectful and be saying his name wrong every single time I say it.
For sure, Donnie Clark is saying Heel.
Okay.
Anybody else in the chat? I've been saying Heel.
That's fair, D-Rod.
D-Rod, what is it? Let us know, D-Rod. Come on, D-Rod. Don't let us down. Don't let Ciarra down, man. Got to be nice.
That's like Stanton. He changed his first name to Mike when he was in Miami because no one could say his first name. So,
yeah, I've heard some people say John Carlo and then Jan Carlo. So I don't know. Take your pick. Take your pick. So I say John Carlo. Yeah, I agree. Heel, but heard both pronounced. I guess you got to ask the man himself.
That's true.
Yeah, I guess you got to ask the man himself. Maybe one day we'll get to ask him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But let me remove the lineup here. So the lineup, right? It's consistent. Mm-hmm. That's what's nice. There's not a lot of moving pieces, right? There's not a lot of these guys being moved around. Thank goodness, right? That was one of the frustrating things about Boone, was that he would constantly just change the lineup, right? But again, going back to last season, he didn't really have much of a choice. I mean, he didn't have like the best roster either. But this time around, though, yeah, he's this is the same lineup as it was yesterday. The only difference is you got Luis Hill pitching this afternoon. So, what are your predictions for today's game? Let's start with Luis Hill. How do you think he's going to perform?
Mm-hmm. First of all, shout out to Aaron Boone. It's a different Aaron Boone than last season, so I'll give him his flowers. Luis Hill, I think that he's going to go 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 1 earned run. Yankees are going to win 7-2.
7-2. I like that. Okay, folks in the chat, tell me what you all think about Ciarra's prediction here. That's good. Yeah, for me, Luis Hill, I got him. I'm gonna go 6 innings. Similar, I actually have 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. That's what I see him doing. I really want him to get his first win. I wish he got his win in that game against Arizona, but I do understand why Boone pulled him. I mean, I do get it, but I feel like he could have closed out that inning. But either way, they ended up winning that game. That was the part that mattered. Let's see. So FL Diver is saying 8 strikeouts. He agrees, but only 8 strikeouts. All right. 6 in the third innings with 5 for Donnie Clark. 5.2 innings, 1 run. How many strikeouts there, Nosebleed? Nosebleed. But yeah, I think Hill's gonna have a great game, but they got to be careful with Toronto, right? Their bats are really, really good. I mean, you saw that last night. They just were not giving up. So they show that even when they're down, they could still get on base. They could still get their hits. So, they're not a slouch, and no team is a slouch in that AL East. And Nosebleed section saying 5 strikeouts. All right. Okay. D-Rod is saying 4.2 innings, 92 pitches, 2 runs. All right. Okay. What about strikeouts, D-Rod? Let me know. As far as the bats go, anybody hitting a home run?
Yeah, so the Blue Jay starting pitcher today is Bowden Francis, and through 5.1 innings, he has 7 strikeouts and an 11.81 ERA. So with that being said, I think Stanton's going long again today, and I think it's Gleyber Torres' day. He was this close to that grand slam yesterday.
Yeah, he was.
I think he gets it out of the park today. As far as the Blue Jays go, as long as Vlad Guerrero doesn't hit a home run, I'm okay, because I cannot stand him. And if I have to see him trot around the bases, shushing us again, I might just throw my remote out the window or something. I don't know.
Let's not throw remotes out the window. Do you live in a house or apartment, or?
I live in a house.
All right. Well, I guess you could throw it out, because I was going to say, if you lived on the 5th or 6th floor of an apartment, then it might hit somebody's head. You'll get in trouble. We don't need any of that. But that's funny. Yeah, but you're going to need the remote, though. I mean, in case you need to turn the TV off, change the channels or something.
Yeah, there you go. Being realistic, reeling me back in.
Yeah. I'm here to help. So, I feel confident. I think the Yankees are going to win this series, right? And after this series, Miami comes into town. Miami right now they're 0-9, so they're a complete mess. Now, listen, I know we're supposed to approach every team as if they're good, right? We should never count out every team. I mean, the Yankees need to still go out there and perform and win. Marlins are 0-9. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like the Yankees should sweep them.
So I agree they should, but the Marlins are 0-9, so they're due for a win at any moment. So I think we should still treat them as if they are the World Series champions or the Houston Astros, because you never know. Every dog has its day. True.
Yeah, I just hope that win doesn't come against the Yankees. I mean, that's just me. They need to sweep them. I mean, this is
I agree.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at the standings right now. They are, as of right now, they're the worst team in baseball.
Yeah.
So, and they've had a lot of injuries to their pitching staff. So that pitching staff is cooked. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, D-Rod, I wanted to pull up this comment. He said that's still surprised that Judge is in center field today. What's up with Grisham on center field? He's played in a couple of games. But right now, I think Boone is just trying to, keep the best guys in there, So that's what we want, right? We want the best guys playing. So as long as, and Judge played well yesterday. So, as Judge has a hot bat right now. So, we got to keep that momentum going. Maybe we see him again, and maybe we see Grisham in the Miami series. Who knows?
Yeah, I think also, I don't know about you guys, but Grisham looked kind of lost at the plate when he did play.
Yeah.
At the point where he should have just walked up to the plate without a bat because he wasn't swinging.
He looked. Yeah, he did. Well, him offensively, he's not really a offensive guy. Great on the field. He's great on the field. He's a Gold Glover. But offensively, he's not the greatest. Just like Juan Soto, right? I remember there was a Padres fan. And everything was cool. Like everything was cool. We were kind of trading comments back and forth. He left a comment on one of my YouTube shorts. And, him along with many fans were talking about how Soto is not great defensively. And listen, I don't need Soto to be an elite defender. As long as he could catch a ball, like I'm okay with that. And besides, he threw that player out at home plate in that Houston series. So, he's a good defender. I take, so you can't take anything away from him. Not an elite defender, but the Yankees got him strictly for his bat. So let's not forget that. But that's my take with Grisham, and I do agree with you about Grisham. But we're about an hour and 15 minutes in. So the Yankees are going to play here pretty soon. I'll close it out here in the next couple of minutes, and actually got some MLB news here. It just popped up on my phone. Let me just share that out real quick. So there's an update on Cole. It says here that Garrett Cole is expected to resume his throwing program Monday or Tuesday, Aaron Boone says.
That's so exciting.
That is very exciting. So, as you remember, when he got that injury and got it checked out, he had to not throw a ball for like 3 to 4 weeks. So it looks like that 3 to 4 weeks has passed. And he should be throwing his throwing program here in the next couple of days. How do you all feel about that? How do you feel about that, Ciarra?
I cannot wait for Garrett Cole to come back. I still don't think we're going to see him until after the All-Star break, honestly. I think that it's more serious than what they're letting on. Usually I'm very positive, but when it comes to this, I'm being a little pessimistic about it because he's our ace and I don't want him to come back too soon and get hurt more. With that being said, when he comes back, I know Garrett Cole's going to be lights out. And when Garrett Cole comes back, we are definitely on our road to the World Series.
I love it. I love the optimism. And with Cole, I was saying the same thing. Just talking with some of the other content creators, I feel that he will be back after the All-Star break because as you know, when it comes to elbow injuries, that's nothing to mess with. And you don't want to rush that, right? It's the same thing with Jason Dominguez, and Gregory here also agrees with you. So there you go.
Shout out to you, Greg.
There you go. You get a shout out from Ciarra. If you get a shout out from Ciarra, you're doing good. But no, so it's the same thing with Jason Dominguez, right? He had Tommy John surgery. Looks like he's making some progress, right? He's made great progress. He's throwing from 120 feet, but again, you don't want to rush him. Let him fully heal. Again, when it comes to Tommy John, elbow injuries, shoulder injuries, just you can't rush that stuff. You have to properly heal. And I do agree that that Cole should take his time, and I think he will come back after the All-Star break. I 100% agree with you on that. But with that being said, do you think the starting rotation will be able to sustain themselves till that?
The only person that I'm worried about is Nestor Cortez. And this might be a hot take because I know the easy answer is for Luis Gil to go to the bullpen. I see Nestor Cortez being hidden in the bullpen when Cole comes back.
Yeah, and that is an unpopular opinion for sure. It's a hot take, and I've been saying that. I know there's some other fans that feel that it's the same way. I think you need to put him in the bullpen. I love Nestor. I really do. And I hope, let's see what he does in these next several starts. Hopefully he does better. I personally think something is up with him because I feel like his, fastball it's pretty low, which, and I feel like there's something nagging him. I don't know if it's his shoulder or what, but something's bothering him. But I know some fans would want Will Warren to get called up, and at some point he will. It's just a matter of when. But maybe they do call up Will Warren at some point. Who knows? But Yankees have, they have some decisions. They got some options. We'll just have to see how things play out. They're 9 games in. So, yeah. Yeah, Donnie, you know what? Some folks feel like it should have been Warren, but I agreed with the Yankees' decision to pick in Luis Hill. He had better numbers. He pitched a lot better than Warren has. So, I think the Yankees made a good decision on that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think they made the right decision. I think Luis Hill, he's going to prove that he's a big league starter.
Mm-hmm.
He did so good in his first start already. I'm so excited to watch him pitch today.
Yeah, I'm excited too. The game starts here in about 20 minutes, so hopefully you all get to watch the game. Let's hope for a Yankees win. Let's hope for another series win. I'm excited for this team, and let's hope that the bats come alive like they did last night. Ciarra, before we close it out, any last thoughts? Let everybody know where they could find you.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, my handle is Ciarra Not Missed. Just fair warning, during Yankees games, I live tweet and I don't shut up. So just fair warning for anyone who follows me.
I have seen her tweets, and yeah, she is on it. I'm like, oh my god, she is tweeting so much. And I did put it into the chat for your Twitter handle. Did I say that right?
Yes, that's correct. And then just final thoughts. Let's go Yankees. We're going to take the rubber match today. We're going to take the series win against Toronto. We're going to go in to the series with Miami and get the sweep. Yankees are winning the World Series this season. And just positive thoughts all around. Let's go Yankees.
There you go. Folks, thanks for coming in. Thanks for chatting with us. Thanks for spending your morning with us. We had a lot of fun. Ciarra, awesome job. Awesome. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for being my co-host. Anytime you want to come back on, please let me know. And, I'll love to have you back on, and we can do this again. So if you ever hit me up and say, hey, I'd like to do a show, don't hesitate. Like you're always welcome to join me. All right. I like having great co-hosts, and you're a great co-host. You definitely know baseball. You know the Yankees. So you got a lot of knowledge. So folks, real quick, before we log out, again, thank you all for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. D-Rod, FL Diver, Donnie Clark, Joan, Gregory Wayne. Who else did we have? There was a lot. Uncle Tats was in here earlier. Uncle Tats, shout out to my guy, Uncle Tats, nosebleed section. Damian Serrano. There was so many of you in here. Thank you all for tuning in. And if any other news comes out, I'll definitely let you know. And we'll see you all next time.